What is up, peeps? Coach Kev coming to you from the porch. Little afternoon talk with some tidbits from Delphi, some observations I have, some questions I have about everything going on. So it's a beautiful Monday. It was chilly this morning. We're going to have some warm weather for the Halloween weekend or weekend Halloween holiday, I guess, coming up here. And we work Thursday, and we've already scoped out that it's going to be like 80 degrees and no rain. So all hell will probably break loose. But the game is the game, right? We'll handle whatever comes at us as best we can. First of all, Delphi stuff. Let's talk about the Patty family and bringing food to people and making, banana bread and everything like that. I don't know what else these people could do to endear themselves to your hearts after all the tragedy that they've been through. Things that they think of that I could not think of if I was going through them, what they're going through. The strength, man, it's an Americana story, isn't it? It just shows you how great people are, and there'll be people to take their shots at them and everything else like that. But for those people, we should hope that their lives turn around and they quit being miserable as they are. And you see people deteriorate in front of your eyes, and you wish you could help them. Some you can, some you can't. Some will come back, some won't. But if you have an issue with the Patties, in Coach Kev's opinion, something's the matter with you, because those are some fine, fine people. Got to meet Becky once. I'd love at some point to be able to meet them down the line, maybe some charity thing or something for the great ballpark and the great work they do there. And I told you guys this before. God forbid if anything would happen to my children, a ballpark named after them and kids playing the game that they loved would be such a fitting tribute. I would be floored by it. But yeah, they continue to do that, and what fine people they are. Can't say enough about them, really. In the face of all that they're facing, all the adversity, they're still able to come out and be good people. So, okay, this week we should start seeing some confessions. I'm interested to see what those are. The confession to mom, especially, I want to hear even more so than Kathy. The psychology of a lot of things, especially boys, young boys, men, goes back to mom. Speaking of mom fell and got a concussion. Mama Allen, I hope she's okay. I hope she could get back in the court, support her son. I don't blame her for anything that happened. If he's adjudicated guilty, he ends up being the guy that we think he is. I don't see anything that she did. I think maybe some kind of psychosis, something that he had, choices in life, different things like that. But I wouldn't put that on her. This isn't Richard Ramirez. This isn't Gary Ridgway. And I hope she recovers from her concussion. A couple things that have been debunked so far, and you hate to say debunked because of a lot of, one morning in court, they'll play a video with no sound, and everyone and their mother runs to Twitter and YouTube, like, oh, there's no voice in the video, we've been duped or this or that. And then in the afternoon, they play a voice. So I don't want to get too crazier out of it, but I think we would have heard these things by now. One, stuffed animals, right? We've heard about all the stuffed animals. No one's talked about that. No pregnancy for the girls. Only a few people have talked about that, really on the fringes of lunacy. And then the yellow rope that was in pictures was used to remove the girls. I knew that there had to be some kind of rope to get out of there. If you've been down in that area, I know what a huge drop that is. There's really no good way to do that. And that's why I also think they weren't brought back, because you'd have to have rigging systems, probably a 6-to-1, in a couple 100 feet of rope. Probably up to upwards of 1,000, unless you lower one down at once. But anyways, let's get back into what I had for you here. A lot of people talk about the family members and the girls of a young age. Remember, the younger you are, the higher percentage as a family member. You have less exposure to people. The older you are, the higher percentage of a stranger. And one of the other things is most of the people that are doing these killings are men. It's like 88%. I read this morning an FBI statistic. So when you find a single female hair, you might not think that maybe that person is the murderer. However, why not vet it out and run it all the way out? We know now that it was Kelsey's hair, as expected. I kind of expected that. It doesn't mean she was at the scene. It was mean she had that sweatshirt. I know some people are going to run wild with that. But again, the people that attack the families have good thoughts for them, because they haven't had good family lives. And they're sad. They're sad people, and I wish that they weren't sad. Some of them have stuff to offer. Others don't, but it's a free country and it's a free platform, so people are going to continue to do what it is they're going to do. No DNA, right? No DNA. So let's talk about that. In a crime like that, up close and personal crime like that, this isn't a hitman that comes in, that, puts two in the back of your head and leaves, and there's no necessarily malice. It's business. It's a transaction. This was an up close and personal type killing, and it makes me think that the Richard Allen or the whoever did this had gloves on. And if you put gloves on, almost not always, but almost all the time, you're going to more sophistication of criminality, and you're looking at a organized killer. I thought this was an organized killer for a long time. This was outside. Would he just get really lucky? I guess that's conceivable. But now with no DNA, this is disorganized. You're going to find DNA of some sort. But this guy took precaution of some way, shape, or form. I don't know how you could work the scene after, forensic countermeasure, anything, or we heard rumors of stuff was sprayed, bleach, or this or that, or orange cleaner. I just don't know that. You've heard about, there was about 70 hairs were found, linked back to the girls. I think it was one or two. Don't quote me on the exact number. They weren't sure about. There wasn't enough DNA markers for anything. There was an unknown male, but there wasn't enough DNA left to gain a good understanding of who it was. So I think that's unusual for a crime like this, even though it's outside. Inside, there's a better chance of DNA, right? Stuff collects. There's not natural things that are happening to it, or and nothing's degrading as fast or anything like that. But it's very odd. But that didn't happen. So it makes me think gloves, which again further pushes me down organized route. We'll see how that plays out when it's all said and done. And again, it's not like TV. You say, well, they want DNA. Of course, everybody wants DNA. A witness, smoking gun. But that doesn't always happen for adjudication of guilt. In this case, you would expect to have some of it, though, but it's very odd that they didn't. And again, a DNA lady was on this morning. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name because I don't want to butcher it. I'm waiting to see when the confessions come in. I expect it to be that week, maybe this afternoon, maybe tomorrow. Play them, hear them. What did they say? Was there things that were mentioned that weren't known to the public or whatever? We have to see how that plays out. The defense plans, that sounds like they're going to bring Keegan Kline, Tony Kline, Chadwell, and maybe some others in. And I wonder what that pertinence is going to be to the case, unless it's just how they were investigated or things like that. Did they take DNA? Did they take hair? Keegan Kline said they took both off of him. But if Keegan Kline told me the sun was out today, I'd say you're full of shit, because that kid is a lying sack of shit. And I wonder how they're going to play that. I'm interested to see those people in a courtroom. Could you imagine? Let's say Tony Kline testifies first, and let's say he stays in the courtroom. You're going to have Keegan Kline, Richard Allen, Tony Kline in a courtroom together, if those things happen. I'm also interested to see Richard Allen has 3 timelines. Which one is the defense going to post when they come out and you do their take over, when the defense gets their turn to present their case? Remember, he told Doolin the time. Was the original time that I think he said 1:30 to 3:30. And then the second time came out in Frank's memo, which was, I think, 12 to 1:30. And the third Richard Allen timeline was mentioned in Baldwin's opening when he said he was gone by 2:15. And he said he had phone data. I'm very interested to see the phone data. Why isn't Richard Allen's phone data covered in what we've seen thus far? He was on a phone, right? Go back to the phone itself, 2017. He doesn't have that phone. He has pagers from the 90s. He has other old phones. I know people are going to say, oh, people save phones. I agree. Richard Allen was clearly someone that saved phones. Maybe he and his wife saved phones for whatever reason. Some people say, hey, we'll get pictures off of these one day. It'll be technology and we'll do things like that. Where's that 2017 phone? If it was traded in, it'll be easily explained by someone. And I hope it is. Did the phone just disappear? Did he report he lost or was missing a phone? He went and got another one. How did that work out? We need to know that. And it does matter that you're missing one phone. You have pagers from the 90s. Why would you miss that one phone? Maybe there's an explanation for it. Maybe there isn't. But we need to hear what that is. On to things, just general, no DNA on a bullet. I thought that was strange. Then I heard that Indiana State Police doesn't really test for DNA on a bullet anymore. I know there used to be a big thing, because when I hear no DNA on a bullet, it further leads me down criminal sophistication, you're loading this weapon with gloves on, or you're bleaching the bullet, you're wiping the, Clorox wipe over the bullet or something before you load it. Is that what happened or not? Or is this a standard thing now where they don't find DNA on bullets? You think they'd be able to, but there was nothing on that bullet, so it doesn't help them get to Richard Allen, or anyone else for that matter. And, as you watch people, and there's people that they're going off the rails, and I expected this. And every night there's, pro prosecution, pro defense. Oh, this is it. It's officially over. It's not over till the end of the trial, right? We made our guesses and our opinions leading into it. Now we're finding out the actual information that they have. We heard probably half of the prosecution case thus far, and none of the defense case. You've heard their opening arguments and things they're going to do, but this isn't about teams. If you think you're on a team, you're very misled. This is about justice for Liberty and Abby. And when you watch people's shows, how many times do they say their names? Well, you want to get people off. People are big on the Constitution and amendments. That's fine. That's great. I'm all with you on that. But what other cases are you working other than this one? Because maybe we could agree on another one. But right here, the Indiana laws appear to allow what has happened that's happened. And if you want to change that, you could call Judge Gall names, you could call Jerry Holman fat, and you could project. You could project the way that you feel on other people, your unhappiness on other people, or you could stick to the script and stick to the game here and what is happening. What do you think's happening? If you think he's innocent, these are your topics. If you think he's guilty, these are your topics to work about. But again, have thoughts and prayers and wishes for those people. Even if you don't like them, even if you think they're heinous and reprehensible, they are part of the human race, and let's hope that they can get past their sadness that they have encountered in life and just be good, productive human beings. Some of them are really smart, and they have a chance to turn themselves around. It has nothing to do with this case. It's about them. And I don't want to ever be like that. I never want to make anything about me. I want to make it about what I'm talking about, the victims, the families, whatever it is we're talking about, And again, when you watch people, how many times are they saying Libby and Abby, or how many times are they saying this and this and that? Most of the places that I've watched, and I just see what other people are talking about, they'll have more nicknames for the judge and detectives, and they'll say that more time than they say the names of Liberty and Abby. And that's disheartening, but it's a free platform. And people were free to watch whatever they want. So at the end of the day, I might disagree with it, but again, free country. So far, and Pat Brown said this, the profiler, not the Delphi resident, that after the beginning, the first week and one day of trial, she said it's about 50-50. She would give about 50% prosecution, 50% defense winning, and she said, I agree with her, the prosecution's got to do better than 50-50. They gave like 80-20, 90-10. So we'll see what happens there. Eyeball witnesses, as the defense, people that were favored to the defense told you early on, eyeball witnesses aren't really good witnesses. But now they're not talking about that, but they were correct, and it is true now. So the different stuff that they had Richard Allen wearing and things like that, it doesn't help the case, that's for sure. But is their timeline and those people that saw him strong enough to, to put in the jurors' heads and say, wow, it kind of had to be this guy, even though none of them really paid that close of attention to it, or things like that. So we'll see how that plays out, and which the defense or the prosecution is able to argue and explain that better. We'll see how that goes, because that is something that's very interesting to me. And remember, the jury is in a vacuum. They're not hearing what we're hearing out here. People on Twitter, people this and that. They're not watching YouTube shows at night. They're amongst themselves. So at this point now, it's like it is almost in every trial. Who has better legal counsel? Who can do what they need to do? I wonder if the defense is really going to push the Odinist thing. And here's the reason why. You had many people that were there. You had that whole trail covered roughly from 12 to 4 o'clock. Somebody was there from 12 to 4 o'clock. No one saw any of these Odinists there. Racist white Odinists who killed 2 white girls. Racist white Odinists who had alibis better than stronger than anybody in this case thus far. Certainly with Holder. Arguably with Elvis Fields. But we shall see how that plays out. If I'm the defense, I just keep chipping away at the police work. And there was some shoddy police work. No question. The police could say, hey, 88% of these crimes are committed by men. We weren't worried about the female hair. You got to do the female hair. What if it's a Huberman situation? What if that hair comes back to the killer's wife, girlfriend, or child? And then you're able to go from there. So there's a lot of things that they left I wish they would have taken care of and cleaned things up a little bit more. How that worked out, I don't know. I still believe that Richard Allen's the guy. I really do. With just him putting himself there, 3 different timelines, the witnesses, even though none of the witnesses said that was him. I was interested if the prosecution would do that. If this was a railroad job, the prosecution would have worked the witnesses says it's a lie and say it was him. They didn't do it. But the defense also didn't ask. Can you identify him as the guy you saw? Maybe they didn't know the answer. Because if they'd have said yes, it could be a wrap for Richard. But if they say no, that's a big thing. What they all said, it was the guy that they saw in the picture. So we will see how it goes. But those are my thoughts right now. I'm going to be doing a live tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. My members only live. I'm not going to do a poll this time. I'm going to talk about how I got into true crime and how I got into Delphi. I'm going to give you my kind of notes in a almost like a treasure map, how I got through the Delphi case. I'm not going to draw a treasure map. I don't draw very well. Stick figures you would see. The courtroom reporter that's covering this case, the courtroom sketch artist, makes me look like, or I make them look like Vincent Van fucking Gogh. Fodder for cartoonists now. But anyways, 6 o'clock tomorrow, I'm going to talk about how I got into Delphi, who I thought did it early on. I'll be very honest with you guys about it. And he's been mentioned quite a few times. And the theories and how I went and searched things, the goddamn Alice in Wonderland and everything else. I went down many rabbit holes that maybe you did too. And maybe you want to talk about your rabbit holes. Now we've got out of it and says, yo, we know this didn't happen, but, go from there. But those are my thoughts so far on what's happening with Delphi. The defense has struck many blows for their cause. There was some shoddy police work, but at the end, did they get the right guy? Are they going to produce more? And these confessions, it's pressure packed now. These confessions better bring some kind of, hey, only the killer knew this, or we didn't even announce this to anyone yet, but he said this, X, Y, and Z. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But I'm very interested to see that. And then come roughly November 15th, we'll have an answer to this case. Hopefully there isn't a mistrial or hung jury or whatever the case may be. We'll have an acquittal or we will have a finding of guilt, at which point they can, pursue remedies of appeals and different things like that. But we'll see, okay? But again, the Patty family, man, I don't know if there's better people than that. They're just fantastic. And again, if you have an issue with them, you need to look in a mirror and say, why? Why am I mad at people of murdered victims who are bringing people who are waiting overnight in court food? Why does that make me mad? Because that's a legitimate question. And maybe it can help you through some hard times. But I'm going to leave you to it. I got water today. A little late for coffee. And we're going to say tentacles. And they're stretching out. But God, where the fuck are they going, huh? And we're going to get out of here. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night at 6. Follow your favorite creators. Anyone that's going and sitting in this courtroom, if you got $1 or $5, you could send them. Help them buy lunch, a cup of coffee in the morning. Without cameras, which sucks. They're able to cover this case for us. And even though people are coming out with 3 different explanations of the same thing, they're trying their best. And I appreciate each and every one of them that go there every day and do what they do and sit in that line and things like that. But I'm going to leave you to it. So we're going to get out of here, say tentacles. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night at 6 o'clock for my members only. How I got into Delphi. Coach Kev out.